Die beste Weihnachtsplätzchen, which means that they're the best Christmas cookies. We already made these, so now we're gonna make these, which, oddly enough, I've never made in my whole life. But they seem simple enough, so we're gonna try them out for the first time. We have the ingredients over here, which is pretty standard Christmas cookie ingredients. Sugar, eggs, flour, vanilla sugar, and in this case a little bit of salt. But then the thing that makes all the magic happen is anise. And I didn't know it, but there's a difference between star anise and anise seed. And so, yeah, I got anise seed. Hopefully that's the right one. And we're gonna grind it up and put it in the cookies to be tasty. The very first thing we have to do is actually get the blech. What's that called in English? The tray. Yeah, baking sheet ready. It does not get baking paper because baking paper will make them cook unevenly and they'll kind of be crooked and wonky, which is not what we want. So instead of baking paper, we're gonna nicely butter this whole surface. Make sure not to get too much butter, I've read, because otherwise they will get like deep fried in the oven, which is also not good. You just slide it around and get it all floury. So now we have a very thin layer of butter and flour. Now we need to separate the eggs. So the yolks will go here and the whites will go here. Then this stuff will go in the yolks. First, we need a pinch of salt, something like that, just a little bit. Now we need 125 grams of powdered sugar, which this is a little bit lumpy, so I will sift it. If you have nice and not lumpy powdered sugar, then you don't have to do this. Also going to put about 3 tablespoons of vanilla sugar, which if you don't have vanilla sugar, then I would just put like 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Would be just fine. Now we're gonna mix this until it is foamy, is what it says. Which I kind of feel like there's way too much sugar for that. Does that occur to anyone else? I didn't expect it to actually look like this, but you know what? That's foamy enough for me, I guess. Took me a minute to make it like this. First it was kind of clumpy and dry. I thought it was not going to come together, but this is okay. Now we can set this aside and work on these, which we just need to whip them until they're stiff. Okay, stiff peaks. That's what we're looking for. I need to fold this into that. This is stiffer than I thought. So I'm going to start with half of it, I think, to make sure that we at least keep some fluffiness. I'm also going to switch to a spatula now to kind of be more gentle, fold it in. And I'll just put the rest of this in now. I think that's all right. I've just folded this until the last little obvious bits of egg white were folded in. So I tried to not fold it too much. I think that I want to keep as much air in there as possible. I'm not really sure, I've never made it, but that seems to make sense since there's no baking powder. Now we get to use this very fun tool that I love to use. And we need half a tablespoon of this. That's what it says. Maybe something like this. That should be enough. It's pretty strong stuff. I imagine these cookies are going to be pretty serious. Now we just need to grind it into a powder. That's probably powdery enough, right? 100 and 50 grams of flour, which I will also sift. And then I'm just going to take the ground up aniseed and put it right on top of there. And then we just need to mix up this flour and aniseed a little bit if we can to make it so we don't have to mix it too much when it's all in there. Wow, it's very nice and aromatic or something like that, whatever word. Now, let's just fold this in. That looks lovely. Now, we need to put it in some sort of piping bag of sorts. Okay, let's see how this goes. Sure.
You need to hold it a little bit lower.
Like that?
Mm-hmm.
Now they sit for overnight. Just like this.
In the fridge or?
No.
Just like that?
They will form a little skin and then they'll be nice and smooth when they bake. It's the next morning and we have our cookies nice and, I don't know, dried out kind of. And now we get to bake them in the oven at 160 degrees Celsius for 20 to 25 minutes, it says. It also says that once we put them in, we can't open the oven for the first 20 minutes. So I will avoid that. It's been 20 minutes, so we can check them. And these are finished. You can see that they're brown on the bottom, but the top is still not so brown, I guess. These maybe look a little bit overdone to me, but it says to leave them in for 20 minutes at least, so.
First time gonna follow the recipe.
Yep. Here are all the cookies. They are nice and cool and have been sitting here for a minute. You can see that there are two different results. And that is because, first of all, you should know, not all the cookies fit on one tray. So if you have a small European oven, then this batch goes on 2 trays, basically. If you have a big American oven, then you could probably fit both, or this whole batch on 1 tray. You can see that this cookie is nice and tall and has a smooth top, and this cookie is like skinny and flat and has a rough top. And I think that the difference is simply that these were sitting on the stove while the oven was heating up, and there was probably hot air coming out of here and messed up this nice smooth top surface. And so the air, instead of getting pushed out the bottom and making the cookie tall, it all got let out the top and left the cookie like this, which they still look actually totally fine, but they definitely don't look the way they're, I guess, supposed to. I'd like to say that these cookies are finished now and you can eat them, but you can't. They have to age for 2 to 3 weeks, someplace cool and probably just in a container or something. That'll make them soft and nice, I guess. But right now they're hard, like pretty hard. And we have to try them anyway.
So you're saying that eventually they are soft?
Softer, at least. They're not as aniseed as I expected. They're tasty though. Next time I would definitely put more aniseed powder. I think that's all I would change. Alternatively, you could put anything. Like you could put nutmeg or cinnamon, ginger. I'm sure it would taste good with any of those, but anise is nice. This is far more important.